Hi, my name is Ashley Stabino, and my horse's name is Mac, and I'm going to go in and get him right now.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Really? Okay, so now that we have Mac, we are going to tie him up over here. We tie our horses on the trailers a lot, because usually we're out on the trail, so it's a really reliable place to tie him. The best way to tie a horse is with a quick release rope, so that just in case you end up having a problem with your horse, you can get a hold of the rope and you can release it really fast. But yet it's a tight rope and he's not going to pull it out. Okay, so first we are going to start with grooming, and we'll start with currying him really quickly. You go around, you start at his head and you go all along his body, going in big circles. Your currying is used to get the excess dirt and hair off of the horse and just kind of loosen it up. It's also a horse's favorite part of grooming. It's kind of like a full body massage for them. And so you just go along. You don't usually curry the legs because their legs are a lot more sensitive. But you go down and you curry all along their body. Like that. And if you have more time, a lot of times it's a really great way to kind of interact with your horse when you're not riding, is to just come out in an afternoon or something and just curry or brush. You know, it's a good bonding experience for your horse. But if you're going for a ride and your horse isn't extremely dirty, then a lot of times you can just kind of do a quick sweep. And now I am using a long bristle brush to kind of get all of that hair and dirt that we just loosened up off of the horse. And you notice that I've been going around the front of the horse more than I have the back of the horse. You want to, if at all possible, and especially when you're not familiar with the horse, you want to go around their front instead of their back. A horse can't see their back end, so they can get scared really easily. Okay, next we are going to pick his feet. You go down along their foot, and if they don't raise it up right away, you just kind of ask them, and most horses will. And you go along. The reason you pick a foot is that you can get all of the dirt and any rocks that might be in there out before you ride, so that it doesn't cause a horse pain when they're riding. And because he has shoes, you always want to make sure that you go along around the shoe and you get inside the frog. Now we are going to tack. First, you put on the blanket, and you always want to tack a horse from the left side. A horse's brain is actually bigger on the right side, so that means that they are more used to you on their left side. And most horses are worked on their left side from the time that they're small. So when you put on a blanket, this one has a cutout in it, so you would make sure that's right up on his withers, and that it's straight along on his back, and then you would check, this one has a little bit of a built-in where the saddle is going to sit. So you would make sure that that sits right in along his shoulder. Okay, next you would grab the saddle. You always want to put all of the stuff on the left side up so that when you swing the saddle over the horse, you don't get anything underneath and against his skin, because that's really uncomfortable. So you grab a hold of everything, including all these little strings, and you're going to swing it up over and gently place it on the horse. You know, you don't want to just drop it, because the saddle's fairly heavy, and that doesn't feel good for the horse. Right. Then you come around to the other side, you drop the stirrup, and you let the cinch down. The first thing that you're going to do when you put on a saddle is you're going to put on the cinch. That's what holds the saddle on, and that's what's going to, keep the saddle on when you put everything else on. So you take the cinch strap, and this saddle is different than most saddles. It has what's called endurance rigging, and this rigging is used so that it brings the back end of the saddle down without having to use a back cinch. So you have, more air. It helps to hold the saddle in place better, and it also, eliminating the back cinch gives the horse more room, and also you can have more control, because if you have a back cinch here, a lot of times it hits up against your foot. Okay, so when you do this, first you would go down, hook it in the cinch, and then you come back up and around in a circle. Tighten it up just a little bit. You're not really going to start tightening yet. And then you would go to this back D-ring through, so that when you're pulling it through, it's going to be against the horse's belly. And then you go under again. And now is when you tighten it up. You pull on this end to tighten it up against his stomach, and then you pull here to get this slack out. Now, when you tighten up a cinch, you want to make sure that it's tight here, but that it's not so tight that a horse can't breathe. And a lot of times, what you have to make sure is that the horse doesn't blow, which is where they will suck in a lot of air into their lungs so that you can't tighten the cinch as much, which is actually what Mac does. So we will check the cinch again at the end of the tacking process and retighten it. But for now, we're just going to hook it all up. And when you're all done tightening up the cinch, you put the buckle through one of these holes so that it holds the cinch in place. And then you don't necessarily need to tie it, but it's nice to get the excess billet up out of the way. Hi. Okay, then you would lower your stirrup, check and make sure that it's in the right place, that, if someone else has used your saddle, that it's right, because it's really hard to adjust a stirrup when you're on.